Innocent Ukrainian woman stabbed and killed by black male passenger. Irina Zarutska fled Ukraine in 2022 with her mother, sister, and brother to escape the war with Russia, and she quickly embraced her new life in the United States, her obituary states. But on the night of August 22nd, moments after she texted her boyfriend to say she would be home soon, a man sitting behind her on the train stabbed her 3 times in the throat in an unprovoked attack. The suspect, 34 years old, DeCarlos Brown, had a long rap sheet and now faces a state charge of first-degree murder and a federal charge of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. The federal charge comes with the possibility of death penalty, a punishment President Donald Trump he supports in this case. Democratic and Republican leaders have traded barbs over whom or what is to blame in this case, and for violence nationwide. The debate simmers against the backdrop of the Trump administration vowing to fight crime by deploying federal troops in predominantly Democratic cities. I think that this would be very beneficial for just public transportation in general, to have federal troops in predominantly Democratic cities. I definitely think it would be smart for them to go ahead and place troops, to place just an extra source of security regarding public transportation, because when it comes to public transportation, I guess you could say people's lives still are at risk. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what could happen, and I definitely think that it is just to say that there needs to be some type of enforcement, some type of law authority, some security there put in place on transit systems to avoid and decrease crimes such as this. We need a bipartisan solution to address repeat offenders who do not face consequences for their actions and those who cannot get treatment for their mental illness and are allowed to be on the streets, Lyles wrote. And I agree with you, Lyles. Remember, this young girl survived in Ukraine in a bomb shelter. Irina, she survived in Ukraine in a bomb shelter. In war-torn Ukraine, she made her way from that country to Charlotte, seeking refuge and promise, and she was given the edge of a knife. Man faces a federal charge in the fatal stabbing of Ukrainian refugee on a Charlotte train. Local, state, and national Republicans have accused Lyles and other Democrats who lead Charlotte of installing criminal justice policies at the expense of public safety. The mayor said Wednesday the transportation system will add 30 more security personnel and they will deploy new security teams, including bike patrols and urban terrain vehicles in the coming weeks. I think this is tremendous for communities, especially in Democratic cities and places where high crime is prevalent in. I definitely think that this is a great idea, and I definitely think that it is something that honestly should have been put into place before. I don't know why such a tragic situation such as this had to take place in order for these actions to be enforced. I definitely think that this is a great idea, and I definitely think that it will play a huge part into decreasing the crime that frequently takes place as to where high crime areas are. Suspect said victim was reading my mind, his sister says. For years, loved ones struggled to find the defendant in the case, the care he needed, family members said. DeCarlos Brown is charged with murder for the death of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska. Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. Brown had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and suffered hallucinations and paranoia, his sister Tracy Brown said. She said her brother told her multiple times the government had implanted a chip in him, and I think that is absolutely false. I think it's just some bullshit. I knew he was battling something, she said, but I wanted to know what it was, she said. Brown was sometimes aggressive and attacked his sister in 2022. Sounds like my brother. Excuse me. Tracy Brown told CNN. Though her brother was arrested that night, she decided to drop the charges out of concern for his mental health issues. But it was Brown's only run-in with the law. He has several convictions on his record, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, and breaking and entering. Brown spent more than 5 years behind bars for robbery with a dangerous weapon, state records show. After he was released in 2020, he didn't seem like himself and struggled to hold conversations and do jobs, his sister told CNN. Their mother had tried to get him placed in a long-term facility, Tracy Brown told CNN, but her attempts failed because she wasn't his guardian. She said she talked to her brother after his arrest and asked him why he attacked the woman on the train. And he stated because she was reading my mind, he told her. His January release strokes controversy. Earlier this year, Brown was charged with misuse of 911, a Class 1 misdemeanor, after he allegedly asked officers to investigate a man-made material that controlled when he ate, walked, and talked, court documents state. Officers told Brown the issue was a medical issue and there was nothing more they could do. Brown became upset and called 911, the records state. A condition of his release was his written promise to appear for his next hearing, according to court records. The White House said his release left him free to slaughter an innocent woman just months later. Irena, we miss you more than words can say. Despite the horrors of war in her home country, Irena just had a heart of gold, a family friend told CNN affiliate WCNC. She was always very helpful, very supportive, said the friend, identified only as Lonnie. She was a sweetheart, and it makes me sick to think that she is gone. Lonnie described the daily bombing Zeruska entered in Ukraine and the agony of not knowing if you are going to live or breathe another day. But no one expected Zeruska to die so young in Charlotte. It's very, very sickening and sad that we have such evil in our society today, Lonnie said. Zeruska was a kind, hard-working young woman who had built a new life in Charlotte, her family said in a statement. We are heartbroken beyond words. Irena came here to find peace and safety, and instead her life was stolen from her in the most horrific way, a family spokesperson said. No family should have to go through this. The grieving family is now demanding change, citing a lack of visible or effective security on the Charlotte area transportation system Blue Line. In addition to this, in addition to the article, I have a few points that I stated within my commentary that I would like to share with you all. So my number one point is no one came to help her. All right, no one came to help her. When you go back into the footage, you can see no one came to her rescue. No one came to comfort her. No one even said a word to this young girl after she just got stabbed in the neck unprovoked. All right, this goes to show that this is a soulless society, a soulless world that we are living in. And as a young woman alone attending public transportation, I think that the best way to avoid situations from happening like this is to, number one, we need to not have headphones in. I'm a type of person as to where I used to be those types of women who always had both of their headphones in turned up to the max. But when you are in a certain type of environment, when you are doing certain type of activities and things like that, as to where your life could potentially be at risk, you have to enact certain cautionary actions in order to protect yourself. Okay, so the number one thing that we need to do is to never have both of our headphones in. Always be aware and always be alert. Number two, I would always suggest sitting in the very front while attending public transportation. I will always recommend standing or sitting at the very front of the transportation. Okay, number three, stay at a distance from people in general, but especially men. So while we're out in transportation, I would suggest to stay at a distance from people in general, because people are crazy, but especially men. So instead of Irena going onto the train and sitting right in front of that man, I would have went straight into the front of the train, or I would have sat at a distance as to where no one is really next to me like that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I understand in some cases, transportation is crowded and, and things like that. That's where I would suggest standing at the very front of the transportation line, whichever transportation you are choosing to utilize. I would recommend standing at the very forefront and standing right by the driver, okay, or sitting right by the driver. Therefore, I'm not really next to other passengers. I'm not interacting with other passengers, and if there are space on the transportation line, I'm going to keep that space very much so evident and intentionally do so. No one should really be too close to you like that, because if so, they have the opportunity to do things such as this. Okay, and also, and I know everyone's situation is different, however, this is why it is imperative for women especially to be financially stable, so that therefore we can eliminate ourselves out of environments and situations that could potentially put us in harm. So me myself, although Okay, so me myself, I would not recommend taking public transportation, especially depending on where I am, because I understand that could possibly put my life at risk. Okay, if I have to drive, let's go ahead and drive. Okay, but I understand this girl's situation. You know, you don't have a car, whatever, things like that. This is where these precautionary things, these precautionary steps come into place to help you avoid situations such as this from happening. So, point number 3, he deserves the death penalty. People with a track record, in addition to untreated mental illness, are then a danger to society. And I know because I am a victim and a survivor, okay? I told you guys, I was once a victim and a survivor of witchcraft, and I am also a victim and a survivor of domestic violence from my own family. From my own family. And the person who was committing the DV upon me is mentally ill. Okay, and he is still, but you know what, I am not going to put too much light on this. However, he's still able to do the things in which he is able to do because, number one, he has not sought therapy, he has not sought help for his mental illness, and also because of enablers, because of the people around him enabling the behavior, and they are not influencing him to go and get help. That is why he is the abuser in which he is today. Okay? People with mental illnesses, especially depending on the level of your mental illness, you need to either get it treated, or you should not be out in the streets with other regular human beings, because then you are then a threat to them.